The following is a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network.
Hey there, welcome to High School Game Day here on the Missouri Sports Network. Guy Newcomb alongside, a.k.a. the scoreboard guy. And as always, brought to you by Doak Propane. Doak Propane. For all your propane needs in Polk County and surrounding counties, see the folks at Doak. Also presented by the Bank of Billings, established 1889, the oldest bank in Christian County. And we go down the road to Chadwick High School, and we welcome in Chadwick Lady Cardinals head coach and Class 1 state champion, Jim Pendergrass. Coach Pendergrass, thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me on.
Coach, does the food taste a little bit better this week after what happened over the weekend? I mean, everything's got to be a little bit better.
Yeah, it's an exciting time in Chadwick, Missouri. It's a big weekend for our community.
It's the first time I believe it goes back 20 years to almost the date the last time Chadwick won the state championship on the girls' side.
Yes, Chadwick won it in 2005.
Coach, before we talk about the state championship game, you've won 18 in a row. Your last 18 games, you only played two teams with a losing record in that entire 18 game stretch. Tell us a little bit about that and how that prepared you for the Final Four run and the state championship run.
Well, for us this season, we had a lot of different situations. Very unusual. I've coached a long time, and our kids went through some things that I had never really experienced. We had played 5 games up until July 11th, which is not very many, January 11th, which is not very many games considering you're starting in November. And then I want to get this right. We went through a stretch in January where we had 13 games in 21 days. And we had a day where we had 2 games the same day in the Sparta tournament due to snow. We played championship games of the Pleasant Hope tournament on a Friday and then the Sparta tournament on a Saturday. So you don't usually get that when you've got 2 different tournaments. And then we had a stretch where we had 4 games in a row. And then you talked about the last 18 games. And in those 18 games, we beat the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 10 ranked teams in the state during that stretch. So it was a fantastic schedule that we had. It really prepared us for the playoffs. We had a couple games get snowed out. We lost Ash Grove, and then we lost Pleasant Hope, but we were able to add at the end of the year a Class 3 team in Mountain Grove. Which is a very athletic team that pressed a lot. And we were able to add Springfield Catholic, which was a team. They had a great year. I mean, you look at their record and their season, and they didn't have any bad losses. Their losses were to good teams, and they were a team with a great deal of size, with some shooters. So those were 2 additions at the end of the year. And then I want to give credit to Max Creek's coach. We were scheduled to play them in early February, and I called and talked to him about possibly playing that game at the end of the year because I thought, I looked at their schedule as well, and I thought it might be a great matchup at the end to help get both of us ready for the playoffs. And we were going up there, and who knew we were going to have snow that week, and we didn't practice for 3 days, and then we went up there and played on Friday. So in those 18 games, it was a pretty good stretch of teams that really helped prepare us and get us to the championship.
You talk about Max Creek, number 1, that's not a short drive for you. And they were 21 and 3. They finished the season with outstanding record and had an opportunity last year and this year to kind of make a run a little bit. Now let's hit to the district tournament. Class 1 District 2 tournament. You play a couch team, another team with a winning record, and then Bunker. Kind of take us through that district tournament.
Our district is very unique. I mean, we've got teams in our district, and I don't think it's like this probably anywhere else in the state. We're the farthest west team ourselves in Bradleyville, and we've got in our district Lesterville, Couch, Bunker. I mean, that's covering a lot of ground and a lot of territory. Our district was held at Mountain View, and we really appreciate Mountain View being willing to host. And because it was somewhat in the middle, a central location for people to be able to get to where they're not having to drive clear across the state to play a game 3 nights in a week, which, I really wish they would get districts a little bit more figured out. But our districts were spread out. Couch was our first game, and we didn't know a lot about them because we don't play a lot of teams guys down in that area, so we didn't know a lot about them. We made it through that game. Felt like we went from playing all those games in a row, and that was probably our biggest stretch of not playing that we had after January starting. So then the next game we played Bunker, and they just have a very, very good team. Marcus Gorman is the coach there, and he's a very good coach, and he's got a very good ball club, and they've got their best player is a point guard, and she's she's a load to have to stop. And in that game, we got off to a pretty good start, had a good halftime lead. We managed to get up to double figures, and then in about a minute and a half, it was down to 1 or 2 possession game, and that's pretty much what it stayed the entire time in that district final. But it was a good district. It was, Bunker was a team that could have easily been there as well.
Well, and as long as you've been doing this, I'm not saying you're old or anything like that, just experienced at every level, at the collegiate level, the small college, the large college level, the small high school, the large high school level. Was there a point during this season, and maybe you go back to that Max Creek game, or maybe you go back a little bit earlier then, where you kind of felt like, hey, we've got an opportunity to make a run if we stay healthy?
Well, for us, I think it was just our team's ability to grow throughout the year and to grow together. You get a lot of teams, if they're a senior laden team where they've got 7 seniors, and there's only so much better that a team like that is going to get because they've played together so long. With our team, we had a lot of new players coming in to bigger roles than they had the year before. And we had better players, our more experienced players, having to play bigger roles. And for us, we were able to grow together throughout the season. And the girls, our team shows a tremendous amount of toughness and grit. And their ability, they're so close. And to me, their bond is really tight. The girls on our team, and that really made them, I feel like, unbreakable in the end. Because anytime we talked about mental toughness throughout the year, and anytime we had adversity, I think because of their bond, they were able to handle it and overcome it. And we had a lot of it this year with certain points. And this guy from, as much basketball as you've broadcast over the years and in games, you get to a lot of point in a lot of games and throughout the season where there's a lot of chances to break. And our girls never did. They never broke.
So now you get to the Final Four. You got 2 teams that you're going to match up with that combined have 49 wins. But your first game is against Walnut Grove, and you had some history there with them as well, being a coach at Walnut Grove. What was that like? What was that experience like playing against a team that you'd once been the head man at the helm?
Well, can we back up and talk about Delta for a second, Guy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In our sectional game, we had a game on a Tuesday night where we went down to Delta, which was 4 hours away. And the last 3 seasons, including this one, either Delta or Chadwick season ended in that game when they played each other. So that was a big game for us. They were a highly ranked team, very powerful team, averaging 72 points a game. We took a 4-hour bus ride that day down there. We didn't go down the night before. We went down there, played. It was a packed house in that place. It was an awesome high school atmosphere. Their crowd started getting in their student section, started getting onto our girls in warm-ups, and every shot we'd miss, they'd cheer. But our girls handled that crowd, and I think that was a big, you talked about kind of a tipping point during the season and a confidence booster. When we went down there, drove down there 4 hours, and we held them to 34 points that game, and they're averaging 72. And they're a great shooting team. They play fast and are incredible rebounders. And we held them to 2 offensive rebounds. And when we got in the playoffs, it came down to rebounding and defense. And then once we won that game, we played Lockwood over at Sparta High School. And we were the host, but Guy, it was at Sparta, and we needed to have it at Sparta just due to the crowd. And I'm a believer in high school basketball that if somebody wants to go to a game, they need to be able to have a seat, and they need to sit there comfortably and be safe. And our boys played over there the night before, and it was really, really packed house in there. And I think the next day we had about 100 less people than the boys had the night before. So everybody was able to watch, and Lockwood brought a huge crowd, and they've got a young team. And we were able to get to them and get to the Final Four. So,
and now you draw Walnut Grove going back there to the 14th of March, just this previous week. What was that like? Playing against a team, number one, that you had been the coach of, playing against a head coach in Rory Henry that has had tremendous success. I believe 12 Final Fours, 6 state titles, since he's been there. What was that like that game?
Well, for me, I was at Walnut Grove, but it was a long time ago. I mean, it was 2008, 2009. Most of these kids weren't even born then. So it's been a long, long time ago, and I've been gone a while. As far as Coach Henry, I mean, we're friends. We've been friends a long, long time. He's the one that took the job when I left, and obviously the job that he's done there is second to none. And we had played Walnut Grove earlier this year in the Pleasant Hope Championship and had a very good game with them. We were tied at the end of the third quarter in that game. And then in the fourth quarter, they had 4 different players make threes, and we had trouble getting a basket. And that was the difference in that game. But I feel like going into this second game that we had grown a lot as a team and had gotten better at just every game and every day. And I thought that we were a different team than we'd played before. And that experience of having to already played them had helped us. And, their point guard, they had kind of gone the other way with her being injured. And that was, she still played Ellie Smith, but she was limited in what she can do as far as where she was before. But credit to her showing a lot of guts and being able to get out there. But in that Walnut Grove game Friday night, Emily Landry on our team, and she ended up with 25 points. In the first quarter, I believe she was 4 for 4 or 5 for 5 from 3, got us off to a tremendous start. And we were able to do some things defensively to give them trouble with some traps and get them to turn the ball over early. And that helped us get off to a good start. The second quarter, they kind of settled in and made it, a one possession game, and it was pretty tight the rest of the way.
So you get that victory, and now you're taking on Northeast Cairo, a team. What did you know about them, prior to the game, and did they change anything up that maybe caught you off guard a little bit? But that may have been the best game of the weekend, the Class 1 Girls State Championship game.
Well, I was normally going into a weekend preparing for this, I would have scouting reports done on all 3 teams. But on this particular weekend, Walnut Grove was my focus, because if we don't get through that game, it's not going to really matter if we're playing for third place. And the third place game is going to be whoever wants to really be there. And because usually there's one team that wants to be there and one team that's pretty much done with their season. But going in that game with Northeast, I'd watched about 15 minutes of film the night before because I at least wanted to see their personnel. And then once we won and we sat down there and scouted that game, and their game with Rockport was just a track meet guy, back and forth. And, they didn't need a shot clock in that game because there was about an 8-second every single possession the ball was going up as they were going down the court. But watching that game, they had Northeast had three really good players, and they had that big kid in the middle, the 6'2" kid. And, in Southwest Missouri, we do not have a lot of those 6'2" kids that are playing girls basketball. They're just not out there. They're playing volleyball down here. So it was a bit unusual. We'd played people that had those shooters, but we'd not played somebody that also had that size in that game. So, we put together a game plan. We were going to put Ray Little on her. And the night before, Ray had guarded the big girl from Walnut Grove. We had made that change in personnel to maybe have somebody on her a little bit quicker. And then we'd try to double from the backside and make it really difficult on them to get the ball in there. And Northeast, when they needed a basket, would try to go to their high-low set or a ball screen set to be able to get that basketball into her when they were struggling to score. But our girls, like Saturday night, their defense, and again, they're rebounding. We allowed them Northeast 5 offensive rebounds for the game. And I think there was one possession in the fourth quarter. They got 3 of them. So they did a great job rebounding the basketball. And in that Northeast game, I'll add one more thing, Guy, and is Millie Burkhardt, our other senior. In that game, and championship games, a lot of times there's one player that hasn't done things during the season that will step up and do things in a playoffs or in a big game. And in that particular game, we could not drive in there and get shots around the basket with that 6'2" kid in there. She wasn't going to allow it. The night before, she's blocking 4 shots on on single possessions. So we did not want to get in there and try to get in a game where we were having to try to shoot over her or around her. And Millie Burkhardt, we knew we were going to get some shots around that free throw line, that high post area, because that girl wasn't going to come out on her. And, Millie she's hesitant to shoot. But I told her during this game, I said, step right into those shots. And she caught the ball with confidence, with shots we practice every single day. And she knocked them down. I mean, looking at the stat sheet, she was, I believe she was perfect from the field. Millie was, she was 5 for 7. So 10 points in that game. And that's might have been a season high for her.
Well, then she picks up her fourth foul early in the fourth quarter. What was that like? What did you have to change there?
Well, with her in the game, we could change defenses because in the third and fourth quarter, sometimes we'd go to our 1-3-1 to try to just give them a little bit of a different look. And she plays the middle of that. And then when she picked up her foul and I have to take her out, I did not want to play that defense and start moving our personnel around at that time because we had not done that defense a lot during the season. We kind of put it in here at the end, and we did it against Walnut Grove to try to give them a different look and maybe something they weren't prepared for. But it was nerve-wracking having her in foul trouble. And then a little while later, she fouled out. And we needed that game to end in regulation because we did not need that thing to go to overtime because Emily Landry had gotten her 4th foul and we were going to start losing players.
Then you give up the lead in the 4th I believe on a 3-pointer. You guys go behind, but then you get back in it, and tell us a little bit about that maybe that last 41 where you get it's tied, last 141 where it's tied 38 all. Not a lot of baskets being made after that, with the score being 44-43 as the final. But take us through that last minute and 41 seconds.
Got to be honest with you, it was a blur. And I haven't rewatched it. They were pressing us. It was physical at the end. We had a couple kids get pushed out of bounds pretty good on some fouls. The Landry sisters, each of them got to the line and they made free throws. We over the season, we're not a great free throw shooting team. If you look at our percentage, we're just over 50%. And that was something that definitely worried me, but we've practiced free throws. We try to put them in situations. Maybe there's some pressure on them to make those free throws, but you might be a 50% free throw shooting team, but if you make them when they count the most, it's okay. And those girls stepped up and knocked them down when we really needed them.
Well, again, final score 44-43. Northeast Cairo had the ball with just a few seconds left, an opportunity. They don't get a shot off, but congratulations. What was that moment when the buzzer went off and you were on top, 44-43? What was that moment like?
Well, that last possession, I was just hoping that they didn't throw one in like we saw South Carolina do in the conference tournament against Tennessee that ended their season last year. So, that girl took off dribbling, and that was their point guard. And she had a lane there and a pretty good look at the basket. And she let that thing go, and the official was blowing his whistle, calling a travel. So that made me feel a little bit better before she got the shot off, if that thing would have gone in. But if that thing would have gone in and then he would have called a travel, that'd have been a big call. So, but she definitely did walk before she shot it, but I was glad she missed. And our girls, it was just a sense of relief and celebration and just all the work they've put in. So proud of our team and those kids. And it was special that night being the 20th anniversary. And at halftime, I told the girls before the game that we're going to stay on the court at halftime. They're going to recognize the team from 20 years ago. We're not going in the locker room. And that's against probably anything that anybody would do in a state championship game or any game. But I said, we're going to stay out there. Ray's mother was out there being recognized. And in our community, everybody knows each other. So they're friends with those people still because they still live there and they work at the school, the ladies from that team. So, but we had done that kind of thing during the year. Not every game I take them in the locker room. Sometimes we've stayed on the bench. So, I think you need to have consistency, but I'm not sure people, sometimes they get caught up in having the same routine all over the place, and you need to be able to adjust. But Guy, thanks for having me today. It's been great.
Hey, I always enjoy visiting with you, and what a night for the Little family. Her mom gets recognized at halftime. She's got two brothers, I believe, on the boys team.
Yes.
Obviously an hour and a half later or earlier, I guess. But, Coach, again, congratulations. Thank you for sitting down with us here at the Missouri Sports Network, and we will talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the Little family had 3 state champions the same night, and I think the student population, I think 25% of the high school students at Chadwick were state champions the same day.
Outstanding. Coach, thank you. Hey, you're watching the Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol remind us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow.
Hi, I'll have the avocado toast minus the avocado.
So, toast.
Yeah. Everything is so expensive these days.
Hey, Chevy gets it. That's why they're keeping prices down to earth, like on the most affordable EV in America. A super strong and capable Chevy truck. And a high-tech Chevy SUV. Why is Chevy making affordable vehicles connected by OnStar? It's so together we can do more.
We believe banking should make your life greater. It starts with affordable options to meet today's needs and tomorrow's dreams. From smart account options that fit your style to flexible loans for what comes next. It means convenient ways to access and manage your money whenever you need it and wherever you're headed. Most of all, it takes great support. Someone you can count on for trusted guidance and to be there for you every step of the way. Great options, great convenience, great support for life. Great Southern Bank, understanding what really matters.
What rhymes with great?
Participate.
Where does greatness start?
Here, in the classroom.
On the stage.
In the pool.
On the field.
Where will your greatness take you?
To better grades.
To more friends.
Yeah! Be great.
Participate!